Hey guys, Annoying Fruit Gaming back at it again. Today I'll be letting you into the inner mac and cheese of my mind. So this video is a way to keep a record on the game ideas that I have currently, but also act as a way to portray them to others. I guess this can be considered a proof of concept, or rather a proof of idea, do not steal. The characters I have are already written out, planned out, put on paper, so they are truly mine. There are 4 major game projects I want to complete. If you want to skip to a certain one, there will be timestamps. The first one is a fighting game that I call Abyss. Second is a scrapping based game. Third is a remake of all 4 Castle Cat games. And fourth is like Sonic 2 in a way, as you go fast and then go faster. Here are the timestamps if you need them. Here we go. I want to make a fighting game with the same mechanics as Marvel Contest of Champions. I've played this game for years, and I love the battle system. I just kinda wish it was a console game and didn't have the horrendous mobile game attributes, like microtransactions. I've thought of characters for other types of games like a Mario and Luigi style fighting game, and one of them is basically me. Of course, because why not? I needed a game to slap him into, so I started thinking of special attacks in the Marvel Contest of Champions format, and this is how the game started. The differences between Abyss and MCOC include dashing back to evade is always unlocked, parries grant power, endurance battles like Mortal Kombat, synergies work here too, new masteries, new unique nodes, actual character balancing and good challenge content, getting champs is way easier, a speed effect, being against the wall gives more damage, and more. Quick note, thread specials when used are unavoidable. Naturally I started thinking of other characters, bringing characters from other ideas and or morphing them. So far, I have a basic starting plot and a good handful of characters. First is the character based off of me, Rampage, who has a berserk mechanic. Normally, if a human got mad enough, it would tap out. They'd get a headache or pop a blood vessel or something. But Rampage, get this, has a curse that lets him exploit his anger beyond the normal limits. He can make rage blasts come from his hands and feet. He can increase his defense and at some points go unstoppable, doesn't react to attacks, and can gain bursts of speed with increased power on attacks, like that of Shao Kahn or Johnny Cage. Second is Blipster, which will appear later. He has a mech suit with yellow jacket tentacles. The mech suit makes him one fast mofo, giving him an ability keen to Fox's side special. He can zip around, hence Blipster, and his tentacles can eject venom to power sting or poison the enemy. Power sting makes him take damage upon launching a special. His second special can be launched immediately or stalled by a jump, and when he ends the zip/teleport on top of you, it deals massive damage and continues straight down in a spike. He finishes off with rocket-fired stingers. His gameplay is like that of Yellow Jacket, but with elements of venom like his speed and special attacks. He can naturally evade when getting attacked, and has a speed buff that increases the chance of this while making his combos flow faster. Third is Taxman, a corrupt government figure whose sole drive is to have control, take as much money as possible, and basically screw over the average people, just like actual taxes. He's tall, got a nice suit, a briefcase full of money and weapons, and guns. Who doesn't love guns? His movements are graceful and acrobatic, akin to Sunspot, who the idea of Taxman spawned from. His first special includes shooting, and this is used in the tutorial to teach evasion. Second special, he has a high damage grenade, like Rocket does. Third special includes a Mafia-style bat and breaking of the kneecaps. This attack inflicts slow, preventing evasion. Fourth is Numa. He was transformed from another game where he controlled animal spirits and was more animalistic. He's a native man of the land, head of his tribe, worshipper of an unknown force whom helps him in battle. Think Nightwolf. His name is a play on words. Numa is how you pronounce Numa, meaning spirit animal. Pretty original, huh? His normal moves are basic, with basic punches, an uppercut leading into a weaker front kick, his 5th light, or a strong one, his 2nd medium. For his heavy, he charges up and punches his hands together to make a force blast. First special, he spins forward with a mace, then shoots 2 fire blasts from his hands, and ends by unleashing the flame spear that starts slow and then gets faster. Now his second special I'm back and forth on. I have 2 ideas for it. The first idea is a backhand into a giant beam from above, like Kang's second special. Then he teleports to you with a downwards punch, and teleporting on top of somebody isn't a good feeling, so it does massive damage. The other is more unique. He shoots energy blasts from his hands and spins around while doing so, kinda like Hood. Then shoots 1 giant big one. But that's not all, folks. Then they come back in reverse, and end up combining into 1 giant ball of energy. To evade the ones going in reverse, you have to dash forwards. And for his third special, he absorbs all sorts of energy and unleashes lightning and other various attacks during the charge up. When he's done, he unloads it all on you against the wall. It's basically Benson's stored up anger. And when it's over, he has an incinerating aura and he's indestructible for a little bit. Up next is Scrapper. He's going to be featured later too. This one's kind of based off me too because I really like scrapping, it's one of my hobbies. He has makeshift metal armor and a wristband that gives him magnetic powers and control of his trusty weapon, a metal pole. He can control this pole from anywhere, making it spin in place, or even hold its position from anywhere. He also has jerry-rigged flamethrowers and a live copper wire whip. He scraps for a living and does it to provide for the ones he loves. His father was killed unfairly. His world is one of dog eats dog, so to defend himself and avenge his father, he had to improvise. First special, he throws his pole and it spins in place. Then he jumps up with it and slams it on the ground, making a big shockwave. This move inflicts concussion, which reduces all ability accuracy. His second special, he jumps forward with his flamethrowers and finishes with his copper whip, like Venom's first special. This inflicts incinerate and stun. This character isn't fully developed, but he's got some ideas behind him. One would be like the main bad guy. He's made of dark void and magic. He can't do physical fighting that well, but mixes in with magic attacks. His main gimmick is being able to steal buffs, turn into the enemy, inflict a void damage over time, and health steal. Another less developed character. I've just called him the unnamed heavenly character for now. He flies and has the ability to heal. His first special is keen to Iron Man Infinity Wars, but ends with an electric shot. Second special, he splits the ground while rising to stun you. Then a heavenly light shines through him. You can't fully evade this beam, you have to block some of it. The beam cleanses him of all negative effects and heals him for each one. There's more characters, but let's move on to the basic ass story. Rampage is enjoying his TV, but it cuts to the news saying the government is tightening its grip on taxes and isn't playing around anymore. Rampage is displeased by this, as he's trying to make a living and find success in life, but the world seems to be opposing this. When all of a sudden, Taxman busts down the door with guns ready to fire. Not knowing Rampage's powers, he demands to be paid or else he will pay with lead. Rampage naturally refuses. Taxman says, "Have it your way," and shoots. And bam, tutorial time, baby. Everything's in slow motion and you're told to dash back to evade his bullets. Afterwards, Taxman looks at you with a "what the fuck was that" look. The rest of the tutorial plays and you end up beating Taxman. In a ditch effort, Taxman throws an EMP blast, which also hits the TV and makes it go static. Fighting resumes, and a rage blast hits the TV, making it act funny. Taxman's briefcase slides across the floor and trips a woman coming in with coffee, which also coincidentally hits the TV. The reaction of all of these elements causes it to go crazy, making a black hole of sorts, and it sucks everything in. Rampage and Taxman grab onto whatever, but it's useless. They grab onto the floorboards, but the floorboard breaks and hits Taxman in the face and falls into the TV. Rampage ends up getting sucked in too. This severely messes up reality, causing things to mix and new foes to emerge. Multiple universes and copies of characters emerge, like that of reruns and reposts. The Abyss was made prevalent. People turn on each other and nothing's the same. We find our villain, Heinous, has been waiting to be unleashed, and the recent event was his perfect opening. Now it's up to you to save everything. This story is definitely subject to change. It's more of a placeholder, as I haven't fleshed out the story in favor of functionality characters and possible encounters. Here's where Scrapper is from. This game is all about scrapping and trying to make a living, with the feelings of games like Animal Crossing. You go out dumpster diving, scavenging, and finding sources of scrap metal, like running errands, looking online, and getting contacts, to turn into the scrapyard for cold, hard cash. Scrapper doesn't have many outstanding skills to find a job in, but he knows how to scrap, and being poor, you bet he's going to do all he can. As you gain money, you start to build up your tools or find new ones, and upgrade existing ones, and eventually make processes like crushing cans automatic. You grow your base of operations and start venturing down other avenues like forgery and reselling. However, as previously mentioned, it's a dog-eat-dog world. You got tons of mischief and criminals, thieves, and more, so Scrapper needs to find a way to defend himself and stay afloat, but also avenge his father, who was wrongfully killed in a corrupt scandal. There are smaller tasks and errands you can do to gain more money, such as checking vending machines, finding money laying around, hunting rare cards and die-cast cars to sell for profit, and more. All of which are things I do. I collect Hot Wheels and scrap as hobbies, so why not include them in some sort of game? The Cat Remakes. Another personally driven game, starting to see a theme. However, this is also in the name of preservation. As you may have heard, Chrome is getting rid of support for Flash, which is the platform web games and animations were made on back in the early days of the internet. Remember cool math games like Balloons Tower Defense? Flash game. Remember Happy Wheels? Of course you do, Flash game. Remember Castle Cat? You probably don't, but it's a Flash game. Without Flash support, these games won't work. But not to worry, because they're being preserved already through Flashpoint. Amazing hat, by the way. However, I want to take this further, for Castle Cat at least. There are 4 games in the series, all of which are at different locations. But the first one doesn't really work anymore. There's a cloud at the start with broken collision making it impossible to play. The other games are fine, but some platforms have a similar bug. This sucks. I loved these games as a kid, even if the death screens freaked me out. And I hate to see them fall victim to bugs like this and causing them to be more forgotten. So I strive to remake all 4 of them in a collection, with them being connected together in some sort of way with some new stuff too. However, if you wish to play them like normal in their classic glory, then that will be an option as well. Now, this game I thought of more recently. Blipster is original to Abyss. Basically, some backstory. Sonic 2 is my favorite game. Hell, I made a 30-minute archive of glitches and want to speedrun the game. I want to capture the satisfaction from going fast. Donkey Kong Country has a similar satisfaction from rolling into enemies and getting a short burst of speed. And Blipster is already a fast character, so... a Sonic-like game for Blipster where you go fast and can purchase upgrades to your suit to give you new abilities, like one that functions like Spin Dash or the DK rolling thing with increasing speed. Hell, I kinda wanna have a boss that's a nod to King K. Rool, but I just don't wanna have a ring health system. I wanna have actual health. But losing rings isn't off the table. You should play well and get rewarded with upgrades. Here's a quick note. The main way I get ideas is vibing with music. Rock music and video game music primarily. I end up hearing a song and I get an idea based on a certain lyric, or I have a fight in my head and the video game music just lets me imagine the fight fully in my head, or the song makes me think of a note for a certain boss fight, or the environment in my mind just slaps stuff in there. Taxman came from a combination of the presentation of Sunspot in MCOC, but only because I was listening to Sawed Off Shotgun by Glorious Sons. I thought it was kind of odd that some parts of his specials were so graceful and like he wasn't trying to kill you at all. And I thought, hey, what if he actually put some force into his acrobatic stuff? And then, hey, he looks like a tax guy with that suit. He looks like he got out of work and just caught on fire and rolled with it. Then boom, they said Taxman and this character spawned. I started thinking of specials. This is more of a spontaneous coincidence example, but it doesn't always happen, but you get the point.